apologize for that mishap. We'll bring you that sound in our subsequent bulletin. But the Abetifi North Member of Parliament, Ebenezer Kweku Addo, will appear today at the CID headquarters to assist with investigation into the attack on NIMO's director at Shediam. Preliminary findings show that the team had seized several suspects and seized a pistol, ammunition, and 2 unregistered vehicles before the mob besieged the Shediam police station, vandalizing vehicles and clashing with officers. A development that has been condemned by the Lands Minister, Emmanuel Amakofibua, who says the moves underscores government's commitment to holding accountable all individuals who aid, support, and front illegal mining activities. The Inspector General of Police, Christian Tatayonu, following the incident, has directed the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters to take over the case, hence any invitation to the MP to assist with investigation. Lawyer for Honorable Ebenezer Kweku Addo, Kwesi Jemfi Buedu Esquire, says his client is ready to report at the CID today.
Honorable Ebenezer Kweku Addo was readily available to appeal himself for the IGP, acting hand in hand with the CID. Unfortunately, information that was passed back to us was that looking at the time, it would be best to appear on the next. And we particularly put out a community letter intimating that we are very much ready to avail at any given point. And so tomorrow morning we will appear at the CID headquarters.
Meanwhile, Esutifi South Member of Parliament, Collins Dauda, has denied asking NIMO's commander to release galamseyers at Shediam. The MP, who is currently out of the country, spoke to an Accra-based radio station in Chi.
So many calls from the concerned soldier for the about operations. Na me as assemblyman ko na me musa the leading team no na o ma me briefing assemblyman no the leader of the team no wa na me ankasa nti emu na certificate of MP from say obey year or me conference or achirensia the ma me hu say o nti me say ono was wrong on ko na me commander no of the team no and kasa edu a woni your kwa o refuse to talk to me the man honorable Ebenezer Kweku ba asem ni no ni plan bia so oba na pa me pese me nya briefing free team no na ma the cars wo no nko the okwa na pa we the MP commander na me kasa and no my briefing so I bet this will be a galamsey or na demolition in Yamina. Man can't be a phone no cross or sound drop for you in the process. My son friend back. A chief crown and Betty said, or more if he baby are adrenaline a Kasai, a call police station. A man war a whole more attack or man be attack or more police station or as a minute money where Christian so a will any of course not use to possible. No, use when no one customer make us.
Now, that was the Member of Parliament for Esutifi South, Honorable Collins Dauda, giving an account of what ensued between the galamseyers, or the members of the Shediam community, and the NIMO's team over the weekend. Now, in a related development, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey has described the development as unfortunate. A leading member of the coalition, Engineer Ken Ashigbe, is urging the security agencies to deal with the issue to the latter, reiterating the need to declare a state of emergency.
This is really unfortunate. It is despicable, and it ought to be dealt with all the force that is required. I've seen the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources issue a statement, and it is important that that is followed through, and we investigate and find out anybody who is involved. All those people who were arrested by NIMOS, who have been set free, all the exhibits that were taken by NIMOS that people have taken ought to be retrieved, and we need to ensure that anybody who is involved in it faces the full rigors of the law.
And that was Engineer Ken Ashigbe, a leading member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. Now, still on matters relating to mining, and the Attorney General has filed a notice of withdrawal of charges against Edward Akoku, the General Manager for Akonta Mining Company Limited. Edward, the fourth accused person, is together with the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Enchiboesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, facing multiple charges of undertaking a mining operation without a license, felling and abetting the felling of trees in a forest reserve without written authority from the competent forest authority. They have pleaded not guilty and are currently on bail. Now, two others, Kwame Entry and Kojo Owusu-Pepra, are currently on the run. Now we'll take you to the Court of Appeal, where they have dismissed an application by lawyers of former National Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahene and his wife, seeking to overthrow the High Court's decision which refused the application for further disclosure from the Attorney General. The defense lawyers, led by Samuel Atacha, in July filed a motion seeking the full disclosure of National Security Operations account from 1992, which entailed the tenures of 5 presidents. My colleague Lord Israel Sari has the rest of the report.
In the 49.1 million Ghana cedi case involving former National Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahene, defense lawyers led by Samuel Atacha prayed the Court of Appeal to quash the High Court's ruling which refused the application to compel the Attorney General to disclose NSB accounts spanning from 1992. They argued that the Attorney General has selectively disclosed matters bordering on national security to advance the case while omitting crucial details which necessitated the motion. A 3-member panel of justices, however, held that the applicants failed to demonstrate any exceptional circumstances to warrant granting the request, which lacked merit. In a related matter involving the Accra SkyTrain criminal trial, lawyers of the first accused, Solomon Asamoah, prayed the Court of Appeal to overturn the High Court decision, which dismissed the application for the prosecution to further disclose exculpatory documents. The documents contain minutes of the board and investment committee meetings between 2017 to 2021, as well as email correspondence between himself and members of the board. The court dismissed the application as lacking merit. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
And that was a report of my colleague Lord Edward Sari. Now, before we go, the Ghana Journalists Association is warning that the 2 new government bills, one on misinformation and hate speech and another on cyber security, could undermine press freedom and restrict free expression if passed in their current form. The association says the proposed laws were drafted without proper consultation and could hand excessive power to the state to control online and traditional media content. President of the association, Albert Kwabena Jumfo, while acknowledging the need to stem the rising tide of misinformation, disinformation and hate speech, bemoaned the lack of stakeholder engagement in the development of the bill.
Even though the GJA acknowledges the urgent need to stem the rising tide of misinformation, disinformation and hate speech, the association firmly rejects any legislative process that excludes key stakeholders or threatens constitutionally guaranteed freedom of expression, media independence, and the public's right to information. So the bill is presented as an instrument to fight cybercrime. The draft contains vaguely offenses or worded offenses. It has vaguely worded offenses, expanded state powers, and broad enforcement tools that, without robust safeguards for us, risk being used to undermine journalism, criminalize legitimate online reporting, enable surveillance of journalists and sources, and undermine press freedom.
And that was the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jumfo. That's it for the first half of this morning's bulletin. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Haligah. Business News is right up.
FM.
It's now time for business news here on Sunrise 3FM 92.7. Coming up this morning, ahead of the 2026 budget presentation, Food and Beverages Association of Ghana calls for scrapping of COVID-19 levy amid demands for no hike in utility prices.
Finance Minister will develop a budget that will enable the private sector to work again. We expect that there won't be any introduction of new taxes.
Meanwhile, Peasant Farmers Association calls for tax exemption review on agro inputs.
When a farmer is buying an input, 20% of that cost is just taxes and levies. All these factors will lead to an increase in production, caused that they incur.
And much later, we'll tell you, Finance expert warns dollarization threatens cedi stability and spurs inflation.
It engenders what you call inflationary tendencies. And it makes that particular goods or service expensive to buy, which eventually reduces the purchasing power of the individual.
We'll bring you our headline stories and other stories. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, ahead of the 2026 budget statement, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana is demanding the removal of the COVID-19 levy. The group says the upcoming budget must deliver a comprehensive overhaul of the tax and regulatory environment to protect local industry. The association stressed that this is critical to ensure Ghana's manufacturing sector thrives and creates jobs needed to transform the economy.
The Finance Minister is expected to present the 2026 budget on 13th November, outlining the next phase of Ghana's economic direction. For the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, the key focus of the budget must be the creation of a conducive environment for businesses to grow.
We are of the view that the common budget will reflect the policies of the trade sector. It will come out with policies that will essentially promote business development, to come up with policies that are quite friendly, policies that will enhance and push the private sector to work.
Fabag, while commending government's efforts so far at stabilizing the macroeconomic situation in the country, demanded that government removes the COVID-19 levy while ensuring that no new taxes are introduced in the coming budget.
As the private sector have had challenges in the last couple of years, it has suffered a lot of taxation, indeed let me say over-taxation. It has suffered a lot of exchange rate losses and basically high cost of production. So we are of the view that as the budget going to be presented, the Finance Minister will develop a budget that will enable the private sector to work again. We expect that there won't be any introduction of new taxes.
Now, moving on, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is urging the government to review the existing tax exemption legislation to specifically include agro-imports, argument that current tax burdens are severely raising the cost of production for farmers. Now, speaking on Business Focus, the association's executive director, Bismarck Tete Owusu-Nortey, highlighted the negative impact of taxation on the sector.
When a farmer is buying an input, 20% of that cost is just taxes and levies. So that's why for us, for a long time, we've been calling for the Tax Exemptions Act to be reviewed to include agricultural equipment, so that these equipment are not subjected to taxes at the ports. We know the minister and even the president has made several announcements that this will be done. We are here to see the actual legislation to make it effective, even though my understanding is that there are case-by-case studies where these importers go to seek these waivers. But even the waivers that they are getting, they are just waivers for VAT. But meanwhile, when it comes to the duties, they don't get the waivers. And the duties is what is to account for the chunk of the cost that they incur. So when these things come to the country, it is we, the farmers, that are going to bear the costs, because when the input price goes up, we are going to buy it. When the cost of weedicides go up, we are going to buy it. All these factors will lead to an increase in production, caused that they incur.
That was the Executive Director of Peasants Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Tete Owusu Norte. Now, still on the 2026 budget, members of the Ghanaian public share the expectation with 3 Business ahead of the Finance Minister's presentation on Thursday, November 13.
The minister should be able to encourage the agriculture sector so that those local foods, for example, rice, we can produce rice ourselves. And then we add value to it, and then we don't have to import. The amount that will be the foreign exchange that will be used to import them. They can use it to, go and put value on it so we all can, consume the local.
My expectations from government is to help us boost economy in the local sectors pertaining agriculture, in how we produce our local foods and then purchase, so that it will boost our economy in this country.
Because looking at some of these stuff that we are importing into the country, a lot of them are being produced here. And if a lot are being produced here, what can we do to ensure that they produce in higher quantity? And I think that is where the 24-hour economy comes in. And I think the government should look at it and then make sure that the 24-hour is being implemented, economy is being implemented and implemented well to benefit everyone.
And those were some Ghanaians sharing their expectation ahead of the 2026 budget presentation. Now to some other stories, a finance and tax expert, Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji, has issued a strong warning that the widespread practice of pricing goods and services in US dollar on the Ghanaian market is a significant threat to country's economic stability. Speaking on the issue, Kwagbeji observed that the dollarization trend has a twofold negative effect. It actively weakens the local currency and stimulates fuel inflationary pressures.
When you continue to dollarize your economy by pricing goods and services in dollars, what it means is that you are going to shoot up the prices of those goods and services. Now, when you go to the hospitality sector, when you want to use the hotel, they will tell you the room is $120 per night. And if you want to pay the CD equivalent, they will give you their own rate. They will not give you the Bank of Ghana or the commercial rate. And that makes it a bit expensive. And so that position is wrong. Businesses want to hedge against inflation. Once you are pricing your goods and services in dollars, it engenders what you call inflationary tendencies. And it makes that particular goods or service expensive to buy, which eventually reduces the purchasing power of the individual.
Finance and tax expert Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji there. Now, before we go, let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some key commodities are also faring on the global market.
On the interbank foreign exchange markets, the dollar is selling at 10 cedis 90 pesos. It recorded no price change. The British pound is selling at 14 cedis 32 pesos. It gained 2 pesos. The euro is selling at 12 cedis 56 pesos. It lost a peso. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $64.83 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,003.66 per ounce, up by 74 cents. Cocoa is trading at $6,559 per ton, up by $408.
That was an update from the Forex and commodities markets. That'll be all for business news here on Sunrise 3FM 92.7. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Haligah. Sunrise continues.